So, what if your tendency to rebel against authority or, your capacity to lead a team was actually decided before you were even born?
Wait, really? Like before birth?
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the deep dive. I'll be playing the role of lecturer today, and I am welcoming you, our listener, right into our virtual classroom. Our mission here is to figure out whether who you are is just a product of your environment or if, your genes have been pulling the strings all along.
Oh, I love this setup. And I guess I am stepping into the student role for this one. I'm definitely ready to challenge you on this. I mean, are we really saying free will is just an illusion?
Well, I guess we'll see. So today's lesson pulls directly from section 11.6 of chapter 11 from Psychology 2E. But to really understand individual differences, we have to zoom out,
Zoom out how far?
like past your own life, all the way to the survival of the human species. The textbook actually dives into evolutionary psychology,
Hmm.
specifically David Buss's work.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, exploring how evolution drives personality through concepts like life history theory.
Okay, life history theory, meaning like how we budget our time on Earth.
Exactly, yeah. But think of it as an evolutionary budget. It's how humans subconsciously divide their energy between things like bodily growth, maintenance, mating, or, parenting.
Oh, wow. So it's about survival energy.
Right. So if your ancestors lived in a really dangerous environment, their evolutionary budget might prioritize fast reproduction and high risk taking.
Which I assume manifests today as a more impulsive personality.
You got it. And in a safer environment, biology invests in long-term growth, leading to a much more cautious, maybe agreeable personality.
That completely shifts how you view impulsivity. It's not just a flaw, it's a literal survival strategy. Section 11.6 also mentions costly signaling theory, right? Is that related?
It is, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Costly signaling basically examines the honesty and, well, the deception in the signals we send out to show our quality as a mate or a friend.
Wait, so showing off on a first date or like exaggerating a story to impress a buddy, that is actually an ancient evolutionary tactic.
Completely. You're signaling your worth to secure alliances and basically ensure your genes make it to the next generation.
Okay, I buy that for broad, species-wide behaviors, but let's get specific here. What happens when two people share the exact same genetic blueprint, but they grow up in completely different worlds?
This is where the famous Minnesota study of twins reared apart comes in.
Oh, I think I've heard of this one.
Yeah, it's a big deal. From 1979 to 1999, researchers studied 350 pairs of twins. They found that identical twins, raised in entirely separate environments, had strikingly similar personalities.
Strikingly similar how? Like what traits are actually hardwired?
Well, things you might assume are purely environmental. They found a heritability ratio over 0.50 for traits like leadership, obedience to authority, a general sense of well-being.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and even alienation, stress resistance, and fearfulness.
Okay, hold on. Obedience to authority is 50% heritable. Are you saying half of my willingness to follow the rules is just sitting in a single obedience gene?
No, and that's a really crucial distinction to make. A 0.50 heritability doesn't mean 50% of your personal obedience comes from one single gene.
Right, that would be too simple.
Exactly. It means that across a whole population, 50% of the variation in that trait is driven by genetics. And it's never just one switch. Think of your genes like a complex architectural blueprint where many genes are working together.
But a blueprint doesn't build itself, does it?
Precisely. That is where epigenetics come in.
Ah, right.
Yeah, epigenetics act like the foreman on the construction site. They react to your environment to dictate whether those blueprint instructions are actually built or just ignored.
Okay, so if these genetic blueprints are drawn up before birth, shouldn't we see these personality foundations the moment we arrive? Like in babies?
We absolutely do. Researchers Thomas and Chess categorized infant temperaments into 3 buckets, which are easy, difficult, and slow to warm up.
Slow to warm up, I like that.
Yeah. Contemporary psychologists argue this early temperament has a biological basis precisely because it shows up before the environment has much time to act.
So a difficult baby, what does that look like 20 years later?
Well, as adults, that temperament largely evolves into 2 main dimensions, which are reactivity and self-regulation.
Reactivity being how intensely you respond to new stimuli.
Exactly. And self-regulation is your ability to control that response. So someone might immediately react to a sudden change with high anxiety, while another person barely registers it.
So if I am naturally highly reactive, am I just stuck reacting that way? I mean, is
Yeah.
my biology just my destiny?
No, actually. Your biology just sets the baseline, but your environment, like family interactions or life experiences, drastically shapes how those traits are ultimately expressed.
Oh, I see. So the environment is basically the interior designer of the genetic house. You can't change the foundation, but you can definitely change how it feels to live inside.
That is a perfect analogy. So to summarize today's lesson, your personality is just this complex cocktail.
Right, a mix of things.
Yeah, it's ancient evolutionary tactics,
Huh.
inherited genetic blueprints, and your early infant temperament, all of it interacting with your lived environment.
It is wild to think we're just walking around executing the survival strategies of our ancestors and the genetic drafts of our parents, just trying to get through a Tuesday.
It really is.
Ah.
Which leaves us with this final question for you to ponder. If so much of our foundational structure, from how we handle stress to our capacity for leadership, is rooted in biology and early temperament,
Yeah.
well, how much free will do we actually have in deciding the kind of person we want to become?